Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're kidding.
The time has come to talk about my favorite plays. I've put this off for kind of a while because I feel like it's hard to talk about my favorite plays because it's so different seeing plays than it is reading plays, and I haven't seen all of these plays. But it's fine. We're just gonna go and I'm mostly basing it off of plays that I've read and really enjoyed because there are a lot of readers here. And I think that people who will be watching this video will be more interested in what plays they should read as opposed to what plays they should try to go see. Although I highly recommend you go see plays and support local theater because it's important and it's what I do for a living, so please support me. So I'm gonna start with the play that kind of sparked my love of plays. I've loved musicals for a long time, but straight theater, the first straight play that I saw and that really affected me was Cyrano de Bergerac by Edward Rostand. I think that's his name. Cyrano de Bergerac is the play about a man with a very large, comically large nose. And the writing is just really clever and witty and poetic and beautiful. I love the story. When I went and saw it, I was just absolutely sobbing, crying, like an absolute mess by the end of this play. And there are just certain scenes that stand out to me. Like the first scene, he's having a very witty duel with a man. He's dueling with him. I'm pretty sure they actually have swords, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I've read this play. But they have swords and they're dueling, but they're also dueling with their words, which is just really cool. And there are a lot of metaphors like that and plays on words. Cyrano is just such a witty guy that you can't help but love him, and then bad things happen to him and it's really sad. I highly recommend you read or try to go see that play. I really try to go see it because it's one of those plays that becomes a lot more accessible when you're actually seeing it because the language is heightened, so it's a little bit harder to read. Which takes me straight into the next one, which is Hamlet by William Shakespeare. I chose only one Shakespeare because I think it's safe to say that I love pretty much all Shakespeare. I haven't read all of his plays, I know, but Hamlet is my favorite that I've read. I just really love the story and I really love Hamlet, and there's just something about it that I really love, and which is why I was so angry when I read Just One Day by Gail Forman because it does a great disservice to Hamlet, but whatever. Not gonna get mad about it. Yeah, Hamlet is just so good, and there are several really great movie adaptations of it. It's very long, so if you're gonna read it in chunks. It takes a while. Shakespeare is a genius. He's just a genius. His writing is beautiful. I highly recommend giving Shakespeare a chance if you have not, and especially Hamlet because it's my fave. Next is August Osage County by Tracy Letts, and I think I really love this play because I analyzed it so much in my theater aesthetics class. I did a whole project on it with a group, and it was a lot, and I feel like I know that play inside out. It's basically a family drama dealing with addiction and family ties and connections with your family and your relationship with them, and it's just really, really good. And there are monologues in that show that just hit ya in just the feels, and there are lines where you're just yes, and the writing is really good and the story is really good. There is a lot of language, so if you're not a fan of language, then I guess don't read it, but I recommend that you do because it's really good. I want to see it so bad. I also have a really cool concept for it that's I can't take credit, it's not my concept, it's my group's concept, but it would be my dream to see that concept actually on stage because it's just really cool. If you get a chance to go see it, please do for my sake, but if not, just read it. There's also actually a movie version of it on Netflix, might still be on Netflix, I'm not sure, but it's amazing. It's a very, very good movie adaptation, so you should check it out. For sure. It's very close to the actual script. So the next one I want to mention is by a pretty popular modern playwright, Annie Baker. This one my friend recommended to me, and I was pleasantly surprised by it, which is called John by Annie Baker. The story is so complicated, and like I love the way it unfolds, and there's like all these questions that you have that like don't really get answered, and there's like this build that doesn't quite, you never get closure with it, and I just really like that. It's about this couple who goes to stay in this bed and breakfast in Gettysburg, and it's just like, I don't really want to tell you any more about it because it's just really cool, and it's kind of, it deals with like their relationship as a couple, and it was just all this stuff that you find out as you go that's really cool, and I really like it. Love the way it's written, love the subject matter. It just like creates an image in your head. I think the thing that I liked about this, as like reading it off the page, I haven't actually seen it, but reading it, just reading it, you get this idea of the atmosphere, and like I could really picture it up on the stage, which is sometimes really hard to do with scripts. So like as someone who likes novels, I feel like John by Annie Baker would be one that would be accessible to actually read and to kind of like get you into reading plays, because it is very descriptive and you do get this sense of the space that they're in without actually having to see it put on stage. Okay, so now we're finally gonna get into plays that I have physical copies of. This one I got from the library. This one is Rabbit Hole by David Lindsay Abaire. And for my theater friends out there, David Lindsay Abaire also wrote the book for Shrek the Musical. So if you're curious about other stuff that he's done, this is one. And this is very different from Shrek the Musical, not similar in any way, shape, or form. This is a very, very sad book about like dealing with the grief that comes with losing a child. And I cried reading this. This has some really good monologues for women older than me. So this is one that I would like to keep around until I'm older, and then I can use monologues from this. But this is something that I connected with as someone who has like lost a family member, that there were just a lot of ways that them dealing with grief that was really touching. There's not a lot of stage directions in this one, so it is harder to read if you're not good at like creating the production in your head as you go. But I do recommend this, especially for people who are a little more used to reading plays. This is a really good one. Next is Wit by Margaret Edson, and this book is about a renowned English professor who's fighting breast cancer, and it's like almost a one-woman show. It centers around her. There's a movie version of this that Emma Thompson is in, and she does an incredible job, but this would be like, I feel like this would be the ultimate challenge. I was reading this and I was like, this would be so hard, because it's just very visceral and there are no secrets. Like, it's all out there in the open in this book. Obviously, since she is an English professor, there's a lot of like play on words, and like you see in the title here, we have this semicolon and everything. I think this is really interesting to read as a book nerd, because you do have all of this like stuff because she's an English professor, but this is also really interesting as a theater person, as an actor, to think about like how you would act this part, because it's so difficult and so honest, and like how do you get to that place if you're not dying of cancer? How do you get to the place where you can act like you are? Highly recommend. And the next one I have to show you, I'm just really excited about because it's very new, and that is Sweat by Lynn Nottage. And Lynn Nottage has written a lot of things like Crumbs from the Table of Joy and Intimate Apparel. I've read both of those. There's more stuff. Ruined might be by her, not sure, haven't read that one yet. This is about a group of factory workers in Reading, Pennsylvania in like the 2001, whenever it was at the time. This is like one of the poorest cities in America. It's really interesting because it deals with race issues in like modern times. I feel like there are a lot of plays, like her other two plays, Crumbs from the Table of Joy and Intimate Apparel that I've read, deal with race issues, but like back when they were more obvious and out there in your face. And this deals with like modern race issues, and even how like racism happens among friends. Like, it's shocking to see these characters who have been friends and all of a sudden they get very racist, and there's a ton of like racial tension around like immigrants taking jobs, and like even people who've lived there all their lives who are just of a different skin color are ridiculed for getting a job that a white person should have got over them, which is like, it's just mind-blowing to actually see the modern take on racism and how it's still so present in our society. And another thing I think is really interesting about this is the whole thing takes place in a bar. So you never actually go to the factory at all. You just see these friends interact in the bar, which I think is really great. And this cover is beautiful. The nice thing about plays in general, as a reading person, if you need to knock out some more books to reach your reading goal for the year, then read plays, because they're only like 90 pages more or less, and you can knock them out like in an evening, and like easily in an evening. And like get into theater a little bit and like go see plays. It's just so great, because I think theater gives you, when you actually go see theater, it gives you this connection with real people that you can't get through like books or television or movies or whatever, because there's a screen in between you. But when you go to theater, there is a live person having real feelings right in front of you, and there's a connection that you don't get anywhere else, which I think is very cool. So I highly encourage you to open up to the theater world a little bit and learn more about plays, and get out there and see theater and read theater and become a part of theater, because I think it's a very important art form, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be majoring in it. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and please comment down below and tell me plays that you enjoy and your favorite shows that you've seen or read or whatever. And I will see you all again soon. Bye!